Invading the internet, covering Web 2.0, coast to coast, worldwide, and everywhere in between. This is where you put the social in social media. We are Social Blade.
Oh, we show our social blade again this week for the 54th week in a row, other than vacations, Thanksgivings, and Christmas days, and episodes where not all of us are here. Hello, everyone. Today's episode of the Social Blade Show is brought to you by LightspeedNow.com. We have an extremely special show to you, or not to you. We have a special show to you, and for you, and by you, for us, forthwith, coming right up shortly, any moment. That was the smoothest transition into an opening I've ever heard. Hello, my name is Ergo, and I'm one of your co-hosts tonight.
You're not Ergo, and that's not the only thing you actually said wrong. Right before we started the recording, I told you episode 53, not 54, but close enough.
Or again. Holy cow! I'm such an anchor man. Let's start over. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 54 of the Social Blade Show. Did I do it again? I did it again. Son of a...
We're actually 1 week younger.
Okay. Episode 53.
All right, someone else introduce themselves.
Dang it.
Okay, he is JD Rucker. I am Aaron Ryan.
I'm Jeff Kreider.
Yeah, I'm still Jason Ergo.
Yes,
He
I'm
hasn't
not
changed.
Had
Are
I been
you?
Ergo, I would have gotten it right.
Yeah.
Tonight, this episode is going to be absolutely jam freaking packed with stuff. Be it social media and the like. We are definitely going to be continuing in this weekly series, or this week-long series of Digg Patriot Talk that has started off on Band on the Web, moved over to the Drill Down last night, and tonight we have Jordan 117 from pubrecord.org. That particular post. Jordan, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
Good. Oh, I'm great. I'm great. We also have Jan in Colorado, Jan and Co. She is joining us tonight. How are you doing, Jan?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Excellent. We're going to be getting into some social media talk here shortly. But first, I want to give everyone an opportunity to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about basically why you're here. Let's go ahead and start with Jordan. Jordan?
All right, JD. I'm Jordan 117 on Digg, like you said. I'm not really a power user or anything. I've just been kind of using it for my own entertainment for about 3 years, and about a month or so ago, I got contacted to see if I wanted to help with this effort to kind of expose, I guess you could say, this group that was kind of doing some pretty suspicious stuff on the site. And so I'm not an original part of it, but I'm pretty familiar with the investigation, I guess you could call it, and with how their group worked, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about from my perspective about how the whole thing worked out.
Perfect. Thank you, Jordan. And Jan, tell us about yourself.
I've been on Digg, I think, 2 years. I am a right-wing conservative, even though this isn't about politics today. But I'm one of the members of the Digg Patriots. And so Ergo contacted me last night, and he said that Jordan was going to be on this evening, and that he had requested to be on to, give out some information or answer questions. And people at Social Blade wanted me to be here, or wanted someone to be here, just so that our side was represented. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah, basically, as JD was saying, what we really wanted to do for all of the other interviews that have been going on so far, it's really been just one-sided. One group was talking at once. We wanted to facilitate sort of two-way communication here to sort of iron this out, hopefully once and for all here.
So Social Blade is so fair and balanced.
Oh, great. Now we have to pay Fox,
Dang it.
copyright fees.
Rupert, I owe you a quarter. Excellent. So that's good. And we're going to be opening up questions to the audience, or from the audience. Again, episode 53, from the audience. Okay, I got it all memorized now. So we'll be opening up for questions from the audience. If you have a question, the way that you do it is you go into the Social Blade chat room for Ustream, and you simply click on either Aaron, Ryan, or Jeff Kreider's name. They'll be posting frequently throughout here Go ahead and post something, guys, real quick, just so that everyone can do a test.
Kreider J.A.
Yeah, Kreider J.A. and Aaron Ryan. They'll be posting something in here. And all you'll have to do is click on their name, and it'll open up a little thing that asks for a private message. When you click private message, you'll be able to send your question directly to them. Please do not put them in the stream, in the general audience stream if possible, because we won't be able to get to. We want to be able to get to all of your questions. We'll allow those questions to accumulate as we go into the social media stories of this week. This being the 53rd week of the Social Blade Show, and we'll start off with Jeff Kreider, Kreider J.A., the sexy beast, who will be talking to us a little bit about Facebook, Foursquare, and how the two are going to be potentially intertwined, or at least in competition with each other.
Yeah, well, we're looking to have another contender in the geolocation competition. Facebook has actually released that they are going to be releasing their version of their geolocation-based product within the next coming month. They're quoted as saying, "We are working on location features and product integrations, which will be launching in the coming months, and we'll share more details when appropriate." They were also quoted as saying, "The engineers at Facebook are building it out hardcore, and we'll have it out pretty soon," is what the article is saying. So if you don't know, Foursquare, or actually Facebook, acquired a product called Hot Potato, which allows members to check into events rather than locations. And it's speculated that Facebook, what the hell, they will build upon that service and allow you to either check into events or allow you to check into locations, while utilizing their ambiguous like feature, which instead of checking in, it will be you or liking, is what is being speculated. A lot of people are really skeptical of whether or not they will transition from using Foursquare, Gala, or Brightkite to Facebook's geolocation service, just because of their privacy issues. Geolocation products have been scrutinized just because of their lack of privacy, and having Facebook utilizing those functions is really going to, how can I put it, not make people feel good about using it. So while I am anticipating that it will be a success, just because it'll be easier to use and it will be integrated to your already to your Facebook profile, I think people will be a little reluctant to use it just because of their privacy issues.
Let me check in. I'm actually not here, so anyone who knows where I live, they can actually go rob my house right now.
But I mean, do you think that when Facebook launches this thing, it's going to be the end of Foursquare, which they actually tried to acquire for around $125 million, but Foursquare wanted 25% more, and Facebook just walked away from the negotiations. Do you think this spells the end of Foursquare, Gala, and Brightkite?
Honestly, I don't think so. For me at least, Twitter has had also where you can geotag your tweets and things like that, and I just think that there is people don't want to have everything on Facebook, and I think having a third-party service to do something like this, I don't plan on using it on Facebook. I'll keep on using Foursquare. I think it's a good thing to have it separated from everything else that your life has there.
I don't think it's going to take away Foursquare, especially Foursquare. Maybe some of the other ones will have some struggles, but Foursquare won't. I think Facebook's just doing its thing, in incorporating everything that's being popular right now. And, as they did with Twitter, with real time in Facebook, it didn't stop Twitter from happening or take down Twitter. I think the same thing's going to happen with Foursquare. I think some people who just absolutely don't want to leave Facebook at all, ever, will utilize it. But Foursquare, I think, will stay strong.
Have they done it? Have they made this move a year ago? I would have said yes. But right now, hold on, I'm checking in right now. All right, I am checked in officially at this destination. My first check-in at this destination ever. Ooh, my first one tonight. I haven't been Foursquaring today. So yeah, had they done it a year ago? But right now, Foursquare is just embedded. Those who are using Foursquare use it loyally. and use it regularly. I know I was with a buddy of mine, Muhammad Salim, and when we were in Boston, and he was fanatically checking in everywhere he could. If you saw me pull out my phone, it was the reminder that he needed to check in. So I know that Ergo is a major checker-inner at every Subway and Dunkin' Donuts in the area. He is the mayor of he is the coffee, the donut, and the Subway sandwich mayor of the universe in his area. So yeah, I don't see it as that big of a challenge. If anything, honestly, I think that it would be something that could actually help Foursquare's business or Foursquare's exposure, because there would be enough people to say, "Hey, have you tried that thing on Facebook?" And most people say, "Nah, I use Foursquare." Ooh, what's Foursquare? You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I couldn't see it damaging them at all. If anything, it may actually be a benefit. Foursquare's growing, and it is too embedded. Now, 2 years from now, that might not be the case. Of course, there's always the chance that Facebook can just take over the universe.
I also think whoever Google picks is going to be a big winner there. Also, if they can integrate it with the place with the places thing that Google has going, so that if you search for something, it'll come up higher ranked as things in your area that are going on. I think that
shocking,
yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I also think it's gonna take a while for Facebook to really perfect this. I think they're gonna fall victim to the same thing Google has fallen victim to, in terms of like Buzz, Wave, and etc., where they're really reaching out into the fringe, trying to develop this product. And I don't think it's going to be a success right off the bat. I think it's going to take a couple tries for them to really nail this down. And in the meantime, Foursquare is just going to gain popularity, and then just own the marketplace.
What is this wave that you refer to with Google? I haven't heard of it. What is it all about?
I
just went there.
We
search
waved
and
last
nothing
week.
came up.
We waved last week.
Oh.
Don't you remember, JD? We waved.
Oh yes,
it.
we all waved. Oh, I already used that joke. Darn it! I'm getting senile. Episode 54. Darn it!
It's 53.
This is going
Building
crazy.
off of our Foursquare discussion, I actually stumbled upon this yesterday, which allows you, a Foursquare user, to really play out where you've checked in over a timeline, and it's called Weeplaces.com, weeplaces.com, and we're actually going to show you the timeline of my check-ins over the course of my usage of Foursquare. Don't stalk me, please. I went out on a limb. To show you this demonstration.
He took one for the team. He did indeed.
Yeah, but it's really neat just for personal use, because I'm someone who likes to map out where I've been and just kind of keep a log of all the places that I've traveled to. But
not that many.
We were testing last night. This is public information. Anyone can go. Once you allow Foursquare, or once you allow Weeplaces access to your Foursquare account, it's public information for someone to come on and see your timeline of check-ins.
Right, and that's very important information right there. So if you didn't hear that, if you actually go here and you connect your Foursquare to Weeplaces,
yeah,
what happens when you want to disconnect?
It looks pretty cool, but there's no way to stop it from being public after.
Right, which is scary because that means people can follow you, right, Jeff?
Exactly. I mean, you could basically, through the timeline, see where I check in, how often I check in, and my basic, my travel patterns. So on my way to work, you could basically see, okay, well, you checked in so many times that week. I know where he's going to be at so-and-so time, etc. And, either stalk me, rob my house, etc. So, while it is cool for personal use, I would caution you to use it. Just make sure you know what you're doing.
Wow, mine is awesome. This is sick. I'm watching. I got a map of the country, and it's like buzzing back and forth across the country. I look like I'm some really cool world traveler, when in reality I'm just a dork. That's awesome. Great work there. I don't recommend it for anybody. One thing I do recommend though is if you are a Facebook page owner, then guess what? You should probably make some changes. Ain't that right, E-Rye? That's what we're going.
That is right.
That's your cool gangster name for Social Blade. You're not Eri.
I'm
All right,
Eri.
that's right.
Facebook is going to be making some changes, as you probably are aware of, since you may or may not use a page, or own a page, rather. If you're an administrator, you would have seen it pop up the day before yesterday. It was late evening, and it popped up when I went to a page, and it shows that Facebook is going to be changing its size. So it's going to be going smaller, and this might not be a big thing for our profilers out there, but for page owners, and many of you are business page owners, this is going to be a big deal because of all of those applications that you've installed, and if you've used static FBML to make your Facebook page look unique, the sizes that were used for that application by that developer, as well as any hard work you put in for static FBML, you are going to need to redo your work to make it to the size of 520 pixel width. That's 520. So you have 2 weeks. So they're giving you until August 23rd. Now, Facebook had talked about this over and over again since October of last year, but they're finally going to do it apparently on August the 23rd. So you're able to preview what it will look like on your page if you're an owner, and you will see that it is squished, it is ugly. So you're going to have to make some changes there. Do you guys think, and you know what, I was going to say this too, that the reason why they're doing this is
we told them
is based on the fact that they want to make it more business friendly. So here's a little quote from their blog, their developers blog. These updates are designed to simplify navigation for users, reduce complexity for developers, and enable us to build the next generation of tools for growing your business with Facebook. We'll share more of our plans for the roadmap in the coming weeks. So it looks like they're really going forward and head first in helping with businesses. And I think Facebook, as JD has predicted here on the show many, many months ago, Facebook is going to go business oriented with their pages. So do you guys think this is great that they're going to go smaller?
I think it's shocking.
Shocking? I don't know if it's shocking, but it is bigger than people think it is. It's a bigger deal than I think people are realizing because they've just downplayed it a bit, but it's going to make your pages look different.
Just to use as a reference point, if you are on socialblade.com/show right now, the column to the left, the column with the story itself, that's 500 pixels wide. So it'd be only 20 pixels wider than that. That's how much that's the space that you have available to create your Facebook apps, your Facebook FBML stuffs like that. That's August 23rd. So we're talking 11 days from now. The entire Facebook world is coming crashing down around us, or maybe not that dramatic.
But it's the same as profiles. So let's just go backwards a little bit to Facebook. Our profiles are going smaller too, to 520 pixel width. So if you have applications on there as well, they're going to get squishy too, and it's going to make your profile and your pages look buggy if you don't go in there and possibly check to see if that application has updated itself or is going to be updating, or if you used static FBML, especially for your pages, you're really going to have to redo it or resize it and put it back in with the coding.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I love it. At least now we know. Well, I mean, and this is I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but I would like to say that this is where Facebook's going to be heading. It is trying to become the business hub of the world, the hub of everything, not just business, but also organizations, government, stuff like that. And as such, we should be mindful of it. So 520 is the number to remember if you're interested in Facebook, especially if you're going to be using it for business or for app development and all that good stuff. On the other hand, a site like Twitter is going in the actual opposite direction, making it even easier for you. What can you do, Jason?
Yeah.
What can you do if you don't have an account?
Well, what Twitter's always lets you use your phone or your cell phone. Actually, they started out using cell phones to use the service. That's why you are basically limited to 140 characters in the first place. But you always needed an actual account. And what they've started doing here to sort of make it easier to use the service and really get updates from businesses, breaking news, things like that, is all you have to do now is just text follow space whatever the username is to Twitter's shortcode, which is 40404. And you can basically get updates now from anyone without even having an account or having your cell phone linked to Twitter. So that's and they'll let you also if you use it for a while and you want to start actually replying or showing up in people's lists, because that's one thing to note here as well. You can, if you follow Ergo, for example, myself, it won't increase my follower count, and I won't have any way to know that you're following me if you do it this way until you actually sign up for an account. So it's an interesting thing that they're doing there, I think.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's actually rather amazing. I think it's kind of funny and coincidental that Twitter is using the code 404.
Yeah, no, it's always been a funny thing to me too. For anyone that doesn't know, 404 is a web code that says page not found.
Yeah.
So whenever you go to a page that doesn't exist, you get a 404 error. That's the joke.
So if you take 404 and multiply it by 1001 and subtract, what would it be? I guess it would be 400. No, yeah, whatever. There's some kind of math trick we can do real quick. That would make it kind of funny. But tonight is not my funny night. For those of you who want to be entertained, I'm sorry, it's over. No entertainment for us, or at least from me. Everybody else is entertaining, so just not me. I'm gonna stop now, but I'm gonna continue though, and discuss really quickly. Okay, so Google CEO Eric Schmidt comes out and he says that no anonymity is the future of the web. For those, I know, show 53. No anonymity is the future of the web. In other words, what he's saying is that the whole idea of us being able to remain anonymous when we want to be anonymous is not going to happen in the future, and the government will be able to make sure of that. Now, he wanted to make clear that privacy and security are not anonymity. He does believe that privacy is important and that it needs to remain, but anonymity itself is something that will most likely be mostly eliminated from the internet in the future. What do you guys think? Right or wrong?
I think that's definitely the way we're heading right now. For better or worse.
If you're going to troll,
it's weird. It's weird that he thinks that, because some of the articles that I've been reading is there is a lot of internal conflict going on within Google in terms of how to use the information that they have, and they've been really reluctant to use that information, and have allowed other search engines such as Yahoo and even Facebook to utilize personal information that they've gained. And I know that their founders are very much against utilizing personal information and keeping the secrecy of what you do on the web, there. So this really surprises me, but I don't think Google, how can I put it? I do think Google will take the high road, and they're, you may not know this, but their unofficial motto is "Don't be evil," and I think they will actually try to keep, secrecy or people's personal information out of the public eye.
Sure. Well, their new motto, they did revise it. It'll be officially in November of 2010. It'll do as little evil as possible, only whenever not necessary. So they're making a revision there. That's officially in November 2009, and that's actually failed joke number 7. So I'm giving that for the night. Wow, I'm just going to go back to California. Forget this whole Nashville thing. I was trying to sign up for the Grand Ole Opry, but they won't let me in. They said that I'm not country enough. Me, not country enough.
Oh,
Get them.
That's horrible.
There's a quick one. I'm just going to buzz through this real quick. 10 signs that you're a Facebook stalker. This is the funnest of the night, so I'm going to go through it very quickly. When people use Facebook, and this one, I actually experienced this today. If you're a Facebook stalker, I had one today who I say, oh, I don't even know what I was doing yesterday, and somebody said, I know what you were doing yesterday because you Facebooked, and I'm like, oh my gosh, who are you, dude?
I have a corollary to YouTube on that. I posted a video of my house there, and someone said that now they can know where everything is if they come here, and I told them they can let me know where my things are if I lose something.
Just quickly on that note, Jason also gets highly offended if you're not kind of like So you'll be like, Jason, what's going on? And he'll be like, haven't you been watching my YouTube videos? Haven't you been following me on Twitter? So it's kind of similar to this kind of situation. He kind of wants you to go and understand what's going on in his life through Twitter and YouTube, not necessarily Facebook. But sorry, JD, had to put that in there.
No, it's okay. The next full-length Ergo video will be "Stalk Me, please." If you know you weren't invited somewhere because you saw the pictures, that's a good Facebook stalker. And there's nothing worse than seeing pictures of your friends having fun, and you think, wait, this was Thursday. I was free Thursday. Why didn't anybody tell me? I was probably on Facebook stalking them, and that's why they didn't know. But now I see the pictures, and I wish I was there. Let me go ahead and tag myself there, which is funny because I actually got tagged as a bachelorette party person the other day. It was really weird. Some lady was tagged. Yeah, that was funny.
I remember that.
So, yeah, you pointed it out to me. Thank you. I had it removed. When people, where people work without even asking them, "Hey, Bob, how you doing? How's the bank doing lately?" And they look at you, and I never told you I worked at the bank. Oh yeah, you did. You mentioned it in your Facebook last week. Stalker. Okay, someone's not in a relationship anymore because they removed all pictures of themselves with him. So yeah, Facebook stalkers are known to actually, and this is actually relatively common to be monitoring or have their hot list of girls who are in and out of relationships, or guys who are in and out of relationships, and they will take note when your relationship status changes on Facebook, and when you start removing pictures of the former significant other. That's when they swoop in and say, "Hey, baby, I noticed that you don't have pictures of Bob on your wall anymore, huh?" So yeah, something to that effect. Blah blah blah. Any other thoughts on this? Excellent.
I don't know if you're necessarily a stalker if you know what's going on Facebook or any social network. I think you're just taking part in the community. But I think because I know what's going on when I do check Twitter. What's going on with JD and with Ergo? What picture are we talking about? I'm not saying. Oh,
that
nice.
picture of that woman.
Yes, and that was chiming in from Eri, our local social blade, Facebook apologist. Thank you, Era. Let's talk a little bit of Digg Patriots, Digg Action, Digg Conservatives, Liberals, and Grand Ole Opry. What do you guys think about that?
Let's do it.
All right, Jordan, Jan, are you guys with us still? Or did my jokes put you to sleep?
No, not at all. I thought it was kind of interesting that you were touching on privacy on what you were talking about, because that's one of the big issues that we're really upset about, the privacy issue.
And that should have been something that should have been the segue into this story. I totally messed that one up.
But Jan caught it, so that's
Jan, I caught it. I almost jumped in, but I thought, no, it's not my show. I'll just wait.
No, you should have. We want you to jump in. Jump in whenever you want. Don't worry, we'll jump in too. So it's reciprocated. So let's start with Jordan. Jordan, tell us a little bit about why are you here? What is your involvement with the Digg Patriots scandal that has swept the nation and made national news across the board? I noticed that your article in particular got linked to, correct?
That's right.
Quite a bunch.
How this started is that this isn't really anything new for me. Like I've kind of whenever I've seen groups that are kind of obviously trying to push some kind of agenda on Digg in a way that's kind of contrary to the spirit of the rules or anything. I've made a point of complaining about it or pointing it out, and it's not necessarily political. Like, there was a time, I think it was last summer, that there was this political party in the UK that was making like a really strong effort to like send everybody on their party website over to Digg and to register and vote up, and they were like this like kind of fringe crazy party over there. It's the BNP, British National Party. And it was just pretty obvious. They all joined at the same time. They all voted up each other's stories. It's all they ever did on the site. So when that happened, it doesn't really affect politics here. But I thought it was something that needed to stop. And same kind of thing. Like I remember there was that some Terminator show that used to be on sometime last year. It was like
Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yeah, that was it. And I guess when there was a rumor going around that it was going to get canceled, like all their fan sites did the exact same thing. They sent everybody over, everybody, join Dig and submit articles saying how great the show is, and all of a sudden the front page, every day there'd be an article, saying this is the best show on television. You can't let it go. But it wasn't really something that that the community was supporting. It was something that was coming from an outside source that was like trying to like force the issue, I guess you could say. But so I noticed that the same kind of thing happening, just with these kind of uh, I'd say misleading conservative stories. Like I don't really have a problem. Like I know there's this user Blinker something, like Blinker 13 something, that he submits a lot of stuff like op-eds from the Wall Street Journal, and uh, I mean, I don't really politically agree with that, but I don't really think he's really doing anything that's against the rules or anything like that. But I just started noticing just seemingly out of the blue in 2009, starting that there'd just be a lot of stories that they were just taken out of context, or the headline was really sensationalist and misleading, and I just I found myself like I'd spend time like I'd try to explain briefly why the story was incorrect, and I just thought it was a fluke, but they just kept coming, and then I noticed that that they were being submitted by the same small group of people, it seemed like, and being voted up by the same group of people. And I had done some searching, and I saw there'd be sites like have any of you ever heard of Free Republic?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I have.
Yeah, it's like this I'd say it's probably one of the most conservative sites, that's not like a fringe site. And they're kind of notorious for they'll do this thing that's called freeping a poll. It's like their terminology for it. Like if a newspaper website, if they publish a poll, they'll put a link to that poll on their front page, and they'll say, everybody go and vote the right way, go vote in this poll, and it'll be like do you approve of like say gay marriage, and it'll be like 90% no, just because everybody from that site went and they all voted for that poll. And that kind of thing's been going on for years. But I did some searching on the site because I thought this sounds familiar, and there were a bunch of articles on their site saying there's this new site called Digg, and it'd be great if we could freep Digg just like we freep polls, and just go over here, join, everybody join. If you get banned, just go and create another account, and you don't have to engage, you don't have to talk to anybody, just go there and vote up the stories that we think are right. And I just thought that that was pretty just not acceptable, because that's just not how the site's supposed to work. It's supposed to be a community where people discuss things. And so for a while I was kind of calling that kind of thing out when I saw it happen. And then about, I'd say, a month ago or so, I got contacted by Novinator, who I'm assuming is like the main the lead investigator, I guess you could say. And he said, hey, I saw the comments you've been leaving talking about this stuff, and I wondered if you'd like to try to help. And so I said sure, and he sent me a link to the Digg Patriots site, and it was a private invitation-only Yahoo group that they had somehow gotten access to. I don't know if somebody like infiltrated the group somehow, like posing as a conservative user, or if somebody inside the Digg Patriots group decided it was getting out of hand and decided to leak information. I don't know how that happened. I came in late, but I was just shocked. Like I thought that something suspicious was going on, but I just had no idea it was that organized and it was that active. Like it said on their front page that in the year or so that they've been around, they had exchanged 40,000 messages, just talking about stories to dig, stories to bury, all that kind of stuff. And when I got, I know Jam was talking about the privacy issue. I guess there's some misunderstanding. Like people are thinking that we like hacked into their email accounts or like somehow spied on their communications. This was basically like a private forum, and it had
Right.
Right. It was about 100 members, and anything
By
one person
invitation
wrote.
only.
Right, but it wasn't like one-to-one communications that we were intercepting. This was, a group discussion board. Everything anybody posted could be read by everybody else. So I just want to make that clear that this wasn't like like private one-to-one emails that we were that we had gotten access to. This was just like we basically been gotten access to this forum that we could read, and it was just no question that this was this organized effort to gain Digg. Like every day there would be multiple posts saying bury this, bury that. There would be links to individual users and to on the site search for Digg to individual websites saying just watch this, watch this this feed, and just any story that comes up, bury it right away. And there's a lot of just IP changing your IP address to escape bans, and talking about trying to set up ways to ban users that they didn't like. And it was I've seen the evidence for myself, and there's just no question that this was exactly
that's what I want to get into with you, Jordan. Just 1 second. For those just tuning in, you may or may not be aware of the Digg debacle that's been going on with a story that was posted by a Digg user named Novinator. And he collected evidence after joining a forum on Yahoo that was titled Digg Patriots. And it was actually for specifically people who were right-winged in the political world. Now, Jordan's
and
here...
I want to comment on that before we go further on that, too.
Okay, absolutely. Just give me 1 sec. And Jordan's here representing the side that wrote the story. He did not write the story, but he's here to represent that side. We have Janico, who's also a well-known Digg user here as well, representing the side that was accused of being a part of this Barry forum to go against Digg. Now, Jordan, that's great. You've given us the backstory. I do want to give Jan a chance here just to comment on that, but I also have a couple of questions for you as well. Okay. My question to you is, I know you said you've seen this evidence that Novinator did state last night on the drill down that he will be providing to the public in 2 to 4 days after he rids of the personal information. But my question to you is what was the purpose of sharing the handles, the Digg handles? And Novinator, he answered the question last night. I don't know if you were tuned into that or not, and perhaps the audience here wasn't, but what Novinator stated was, it was just their Digg handles. But the reality is that with handles on the internet these days and branding, we share it with Twitter, we share it with Facebook. We have our real names attached. So was it a malicious attempt here to actually just call out people? Are you aware
that
of
was actually that was something that I didn't think was a good idea. The way that the story was released, it was kind of it was kind of put together really quickly. We've been working on it for a long time, but it was something that kind of came together at the last minute, I guess you could say, because we were worried about the new version of Digg coming out, and that would just distract from anybody ever knowing about this happening. So that wasn't my call. Frankly, I mean, if they wanted to engage in this kind of activity using those handles, I think, I mean, it's unfortunate if anybody who wasn't as active was kind of implicated in this by that list. I know that there are some people who said that they had joined for like a day and then they never saw it again. And I think it's I don't like that some of those people were kind of gave the impression that they were just as active in this as everybody else was. But but as for the people who were like the ringleaders of this, I think that's that's what they have to live with if they just they decided to do this kind of thing under their handles that they use everywhere else. I mean, if I mean they did the crime, they should take responsibility for it, I think.
What crime was committed,
one thing,
Jordan?
Well, I mean, like metaphorically speaking, trying
one thing.
to go ahead.
I was gonna say one thing that reading the article, and then just last night, Novinator coming out and saying, well, he has evidence and we need to wait, 2 or 3 days. Why didn't he wait to publish that article until he had all of the evidence, there and ready to put into the article. Because when you look at it, and then, there is no hard evidence, there's no real fact checking, it doesn't look like it was combed over with a fine comb to make sure that the research was done properly, that, people's names weren't getting, drugged through the mud that shouldn't have been. And basically, there's no hard evidence and no supporting evidence. So why publish the article and then wait a week to say, okay, well, here's my evidence now?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we did run into some technical issues with that because it is a lot of material, and we were trying to figure out the best way to format it so it could be easily shared. But then we were also making an effort to go through and make sure that nobody's personal information was released. Their email addresses, their full names. There was a lot of not a lot of it. There's some discussion on the Digg Patriots site of just purely personal stuff.
A lot of
that you
personal
might see
stuff
on any
was
front.
discussed.
Well, none
Yeah,
of that stuff. That's what we're doing. That's why it's taking us so long right now. We're trying to go through and cull all that information.
Who's we?
So
I keep hearing we and they and we and they. Who are we and they?
It's about half a dozen, I'd say, people. It's not a very organized thing. We're just basically a bunch of.
I don't believe that.
Well, you can believe what you want, but we're just a bunch of users who noticed this stuff going on, and we just kind of came in contact with each other. Like I said, I never. I just commented on this stuff. Like when I saw like a really inaccurate story that was being dug up by all the same people, I'd say, hey, you guys, don't you notice that that these same people keep voting up this this really just misleading stuff? And then Novinator saw my comments and then contacted me, and then that's how I got involved. But it's kind of just a disorganized. An informal kind of thing. It's not like this precision strike team that's trying to do everything to shut these people down. We're just doing what we can to try to keep the site running the way it should, I think.
Now, Janico has publicly announced that she is a part of Digg Patriots. However, she states that she did not do what has been claimed allegedly in this article that was written. Now, before I want to give Janico her chance to say what she needs to say. And Jordan, my last question to you for now is, were you invited to Digg Patriots forum, as Novinator states that he was, or are you just going off of what Novinator has shown you and told you?
I was never invited to the group, and I never actually logged into the group, but I don't know if you saw, but as soon as the story came out, they took the group down right away, and I guess they were thinking that we can just get rid of all the evidence that this ever happened, but they were making sure, because Yahoo Groups has a way to save that information. So we do have plenty of evidence that this happened, and I've seen some of that evidence, and in my opinion, just having seen it firsthand, there's no question that this is all exactly as it was described in the alternate article.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
but
with
I
that
think
said, Janico, go ahead.
I don't even know where to begin on this. I wish in some ways I could have made comments as things were being said. But going back, we'll start with the Yahoo group. Right there, laws were violated because there are rules that state that anything that is stated in that group is not to be shared with anybody else without permission. So the group, to start with, whether they were deceptive, whether they hacked, whether it was a mole, whether they were invited, it really doesn't matter. It was underhanded, which is fine. But my real anger on this whole thing didn't happen until yesterday. When I heard Novi say that they have, they're calling them, of course, for them, it's not berry brigades. It's not, hacking or organized, censorship. For them, it's their researchers. Okay, so they're researchers. But it's the same thing. They are more organized than we ever could dream to be. But what upset me was that our private personal email is now, they said, it's not only just in the hands of these few people, or however many there are from Digg, that that they're going through, but they said they handed it over to 2 other groups of people. And I'm sorry, I think there's not anybody in this audience that can say that's a cool thing.
Is that legal?
Well, believe me, there's things going on behind the scenes. That's why a lot of people don't want to come on, because I can't believe it is legal. I know there have been some laws broken. We can't afford a lawyer, so we're having to do a lot of this on our own. But it was a private, invitation-only group, and anything that they did that was on Digg, that was on evidently there was plenty of stuff that happened on the threads. I have no problem with if they were being threatening, or whatever it was they were doing that was breaking rules. That's one thing. Do what you need to do with them. But when our personal private emails, and I consider them emails, and we were a family. Okay, I mean, one of the big issues people ask is, well, why do we stay? And I'll be happy to address that.
Jen,
but,
just one question, just to clarify. The forum, they didn't break into the forum. They just impersonated a personality that would be invited in. Is that correct?
That's what they're saying.
Okay.
But we don't really know for sure.
Fair enough.
Because we have other evidence that other things happened that is being investigated. So we don't really know for sure.
So this can go to just to be clear. So this might go to court.
It's absolutely.
Wow.
Yes.
All right, I'm awake. Talk to me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what charges are you looking to file?
We're still trying to get this all together and get some help, because this was a violation of our privacy, period. And they're doing a lot of things behind the scenes. They're saying, they're protecting our privacy and all that. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, jokes and taunting, and we can read this, and they're sharing all of our emails back and forth. And like I said, we are a family. And that, I guess, was the first thing I wanted to address, was the composition of the group, because I kind of kidded around about the right wing, and they said, well, this is a right wing group. It really isn't a right wing group. It's a variety. You have people that are very, very conservative, and you have people in there who are libertarian. You have people there that are just straight Republican, but they're not necessarily, they're still big government. I mean, there's a wide range, big tent, if you want to call it. You have very strong Christians in there, and you also have atheists in there. You have people that are political. We have one person who was not political at all. He was strictly there just for the chat part, and just sharing ideas about things. And one of the things I felt that was misrepresented, again, with the group, was why we were there. And it's presented as such. This was a big Barry brigade, and that's what the group was, and that is not true. And I not saying that those things didn't happen. And I think Aaron said that I said I had not done any of those things. I did not say I did not do any of those things. What I said was, there were some allegations, and I talked about them on Banned on the Web the other night. The burying thing was not what I was concerned about that they accused us of. Because anybody that's on Digg, I mean, that's why they have a bury button. If they didn't, that's what it's there for. We kind of discussed that the other night.
Yeah.
It was some other very ugly allegations that were made, because what they were trying to do was paint us as this racist group. They were trying to basically do to us what they do, to all conservative groups. And it just, we're tired of it. We're tired of, there may be one or two people that are outspoken that say a certain thing and it's out of line. But it doesn't mean the whole group is that way. We were not all like-minded. We fought amongst ourselves quite a bit, as a matter of fact. And we went back and forth at it. And but we had a common, what we had in common is most of us, and for me in particular, my interest is pro-military, pro the troops. That is kind of the thing that I lean towards. And even when I started, when I got away from subbing political articles, I still try to sub pro military when I can find them. They're not easy to find anymore. But you have people in there that are, they're very, very ideological, very anti-Obama, very, whatever it is. But this implication that we were given marching orders, anyone that knows the personalities in that group knows how funny that is, because I actually did a test with a couple of friends, and tried that, and gave them orders, and I just got laughed at. We are all such strong like-minded, strong-willed, opinionated, stubborn people. Nobody's going to tell us what to do. And, you know, if we shared, and one of the things that we did do in there, and that's really what it started as, like what Jordan did say, he was accurate in, yeah, we wanted to try to get some conservative articles out there because Digg was all one-sided. I didn't think that was a crime. I thought, you know, in this country, you actually can have a difference of opinion, and that maybe it's a good thing for the Digg community to have some conservative articles out there.
Yeah, and one of the things that that I kind of find silly about this whole thing is censoring Digg for news articles. Where if you really want news, go to a news site. I mean, go to your other news sites where there is no possibility of it getting buried and so on and so forth.
Right.
Digg has opened itself up to where you can either obviously dig or bury. So the system has opened itself up for these so groups can kind of almost assemble and push their own agenda. And it's nothing new, to the whole political sphere. I mean, 2008 with the Journo list. If you haven't looked that up, you could search Journo list in presidential election 2008 and read up on that. So I mean, both sides do it, but I just find it kind of silly in the fact where a group of people coming together, assembling over the similarities and ideas and ideologies. There's nothing wrong with that, and nothing wrong with that at all. Especially Digg is a far-leaning site. Just the nature of the platform.
Yes.
So did the conservatives really tip the scale in conservative favor? No, I don't think so. I think it balanced it more, but at the same time, I don't think this is so like out of control. Like, holy crap, they're censoring our news. What the hell are we gonna do? I mean, if you really want news, go to a news site. Seriously.
I'd agree with that, but for better or for worse, Digg is a highly trafficked site, and I mean, in the alternate article, it was saying that the front page gets like a third as many views as the New York Times, and it does push a lot of the the viral news, I guess you could say, through all sorts of websites, and just as an example of how manipulating the site can kind of pay strong dividends is that just before all this came out, some of the people in the Digg Patriots group have been talking about instead of taking articles from other sources and then putting whatever kind of sensational headline on it and submitting it like that, instead of doing that, they wanted to write their own articles on their own site, and then that way they could write whatever they wanted. So they set up a blogspot blog. It was what was it called? The Raddington Post. And it was I wouldn't call it a very high quality site. I mean, the logo, it was this massive JPEG of a rat with Barack Obama's face photoshopped on it, and just it was kind of an amateurish looking site, is what I'm saying. And within a week of the site being set up, like it was so brand new that it wouldn't even show up when you searched it on Google. It hadn't been indexed yet. But within a week of it being set up, it had been submitted like 12 different times by 4 different people, and one of their articles made the front page. So just out of the blue, with no organic support at all, they were able to take their content and put it on the front page of one of the most highly trafficked sites on the internet.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't Alternate the same? I mean, isn't Alternate like kind of the same thing as well?
Well, no, no, no,
coming from the other side, which.
Hold on, real quick. Let me comment about that real quick. I'm sorry. I've been so silent, just listening and enjoying this. I want to jump in on that point right there. One of the one of the beauties and the old school nature of Digg is that excuse me, is that Digg did allow for at one point, maybe not so much now, but at one point Digg was very clear and allowed for non-mainstream, for fringe style, for less common. I mean, Digg was a place of discovery. It was a place where people were able to find stuff, whether it was a brand new site that had never been, that was totally brand new. In other words, the whole idea, to me, I don't want Digg to become an RSS feed for the New York Times and for CNN and for LA Times and Huffington Post and any of the conservative counterparts to that. I'm not looking at Digg as a place for that. It's almost like Digg is an opportunity for those sites that don't have a voice, but have content that's quality enough to get to the front page to be able to be demonstrated. I think so. I just want to make sure that we understand, Jordan. My take on that is that the artificial aspect of it, the ability to utilize power accounts to get to the front page, whether that's good or bad, that's definitely a matter of concern. But I would hope that you're not suggesting that only established sites should hit the front page of Digg.
Of course not. But when non-established sites hit the front page, it should be because the community decided, everybody independently. I'm sure you've all heard of the wisdom of crowds and tipping point, all this kind of concepts. I've done some reading about that, and really that kind of stuff. It only works. The principles of it. It only works when everybody is making their own independent call. When you have an organized effort of people working together to try to subvert that dynamic, that just it hurts the integrity of the system.
It also depends just on the diversity of the crowd, also just in general.
Right, but the other thing that was beautiful about Digg, and we don't know how it's going to go forward with the new Digg, but nobody's name was shared when they buried. That's kind of what I think a lot of the issue here is we're not really seeing the article as a political thing. We're more seeing it as, okay, this is kind of like shady because, first of all, names were used, and then when Novinator, even though he's had issues with Alanoku on Digg, he stated and took him off the original list, saying that he was just a collateral damage. So my question is, Jordan, to you is how credible can this article be? Because if now it's going to be backtracking and saying, oh, this person isn't as bad as this person. I mean, there's a lot of names on there that could be hurt because the names were used, not you used the names. Sorry, I should correct that, but that the names were used within this article and are going to go forward with evidence.
Well, like I said, that's the part that I had a problem with. I'd say the most. A lot of of these issues, I think, are coming from the fact that this originated, I guess, in a kind of hostile atmosphere. Because before this group was ever discovered, there was a lot of back and forth, I'd say, between the Digg Patriots group and then the various people they were targeting to bury their submissions or their articles or whatever. And so before the proof was found that this was going on, there's a lot of suspicion that this kind of thing was going on, and there's a lot of bickering, a lot of name calling, and I think that kind of colored a little bit that first article that came out, and that's unfortunate. But the facts that are in that article are absolutely true. I've seen the evidence myself when Jan said.
But I think the facts are being overlooked because of the investigation. I think the initiative to investigate is good, but I think the overall execution of it, fell short and is pretty subpar. And I think it's hurting, your case for the Digg Patriots, cause or their alleged misdoings.
Well,
what we've.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Sorry
to hear what.
Wait. Give him a chance to reply to that part.
Okay.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that any kind of concerns about, what part of this is overblown or what part of this is, a witch hunt, I think that those questions are going to go away when the evidence comes out, which is going to be very soon. We're just going
But that's the point.
Sure.
Is there anything related to the evidence that you can give us a sneak preview at?
Talk to us. Spill it.
Oh, well, okay. I was just going to say, for instance, Jan was saying that she didn't really think of the group as a Berry Brigade, she said. When she said that, I have some of the material, here with me, and I just searched for Barry, and there were hundreds of messages saying bury this, bury that, bury this person. Oh, this person's getting too close, bury them, and it's just rampant. So I don't know how anybody could be a part of that group and not get the impression that that was one of their primary functions.
Now,
Jordan,
go ahead, Jan.
To reply.
Jordan, I wasn't saying that they didn't bury or they didn't dig. What I'm saying is it was represented when the article was written. The first thing that was wrong was it said it originated or what did they say? Arguably started through Free Republic. And that's not true. I'm the only one there from Free Republic. It had nothing. This group has nothing. I have tried to get them to go to Free Republic. That's probably when Digg goes to 4.0 where we'll go. The point with a lot of people in this group is Free Republic is you're with other people that think the same way. I mean, that is a group closed to just conservatives. That's not, I mean, I don't enjoy just talking to people that agree with me. I enjoy having a debate. I enjoy talking to people that think differently. I've actually learned things, and I have a lot of friends on Digg that think very differently than I do. And we've had some great discussions, and we're still friends. I don't label people that, oh, because you're left wing or because you're progressive or you're a liberal or you're pro this or anti that we can't be friends, because there's more to life than just politics. So it was not a Free Republic group. It originated because of Shouts ending, and I guarantee you that many, in fact, I know specifically and personally that there are many other groups that do the same kind of thing. Where exactly the Barry stuff started and how it got as out of hand as it seems to have gotten out of hand, I, for one, am very suspicious that possibly the mole had something to do with that. And I have a lot of work still to do going through all these emails. Like I said, they were so overwhelming, just like what you had said, and a lot of people read them randomly here and there. It was not something that very many people could ever keep up with. It was the biggest complaint of the group. It was the reason most people were not that active, because you couldn't keep up with it. It got crazy, and I think it's because of the political climate going on, and there is so much propaganda out there that people just it was something they could do. As far as the chatting in the room, a lot of that was blowing off steam. It was a lot of things they could not do on the threads, although some of them did. I've stayed away from those threads for well over a year because they were too upsetting. And I've been involved in a few of them way back when, and I'd be in there all by myself fighting 5, 6, 7 liberals who didn't like what I had to say, and I would try to be in there civilly. I think some of them respect me because they know I did try to see their side and have a civil discussion with them. But just to portray this group as that we were out there and our goal was to bury every liberal and to bury every story, and a lot of people in the Digg community, a lot that are my friends and that are some of the other people in this group's friends who have they're just in shock that we could do this, and they feel like they were targeted. And I just feel that was very much misrepresented, and that I think, my big question still goes back to, if the article wasn't ready yet to be released, why did they rush and do it? Why did they put out a list? And why did they say 100 people when there's 25 at most? On any one day, you might have had 8 to 10, maybe 12 if we're lucky. You could barely get these people to dig an article, let alone to bury an article. And that just because there was a request out there, we did a lot of requests for digging, and they never dug them either. So, they were in it, they were there. There were some that were very active, and I'm sure, Novinator will release those, and everybody can have a good time with them. But, the bottom line is to represent this group as, this evil group that's trying to censor the liberals on Digg, I think is very hard to believe.
Jen, just to comment on what you were saying there, that actually you bring up actually a really good point, which is what I was trying to say just a couple of minutes ago, but you added to it. You were talking about digging requests also. So just a general history, Digg itself, it's been around for 5.5 years now. When it was originally created, it was thought to be a place where everyone can submit stories and people would naturally just vote on the ones that they thought were the best. And basically, I'm echoing a little on your side, Jen. Basically, the stories that would get the most natural votes from people just voting on the ones that they think are the best would get to the front page. Now, fast forward a couple of years, people found that there's ways to influence that in both ways, both digging, sharing digs with a whole bunch of people, which generally is good with your friends. You share, this is a great story, vote on this. There's nothing wrong with saying also the same thing. This is a bad story. You share it with your friends. I mean, you do that in general. So really, in the thing when it gets out of hand is when people share both either dig requests or barrier requests in a massive scale. It's just a fundamental problem with how the site itself works currently.
Yes.
At the end of the day, that's really how it is. At least that's how I see it.
And I do agree with Jordan that when people were specifically targeted, that's wrong.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. That is wrong. Well, when the opportunity comes, I'm going to share something I did. Okay.
Well, I also wanted to address some of Jan's points. I thought it was interesting how she brought up the issue about discussion and engaging with people with different ideas. I think that's great. I mean, there have been plenty of times where I've been debating people, and I think that's a great function of Dig. But a lot of the time, I noticed, especially if it was on the submission from this group, that you could put the most factual, well-sourced, full of links, non-confrontational, whatever, and it would just get buried. And I read through some of the messages, like I said, and there were people who explicitly said, the other day, hey, I buried all these people. I even thought they were completely accurate, but I buried them anyway because hey, I'm not up for election, or however they put it. So it's this this tendency of this group to just suppress anything that didn't agree with them, just for the fact that it didn't agree with them, and not engaging, not trying to have a conversation, but just trying to brute force their own views on the site, and then not tolerating basically anything else.
Jordan, Jordan, I agree with you that I mean, to me, that's just silly for someone to do that. But again, I think we have to be careful to say that the group did that, because I would say that has to be a very, very small number. And I know, because I know there are people in there that probably think and would say exactly what you said. There's just as many. I mean, I can't tell you how much flack I have taken, and depending on how much time we have, I have liberals as neutrals. I have friends who, I disagree with a lot, but they aren't subbing political articles, and I support them. The big dark secret is I actually dug a Novinator article. I commented on it. I put it in favorites. I tweeted it, and I probably had a lot to do with it popping. It was a fantastic article. I liked it. It's one of the best articles I've ever. It wasn't written by him, but it was a very good article. And I even sent a message through a third person, because the person who wrote it was as far on the other side politically as from me as they could be. I had no problem, digging him, pushing that. I shared with my friends, and I actually went today to go look, because I remembered the article that stuck out. And 3 of those 25 actually dug the article and dug up my comments, or no, I think 2 dug the article, 3 dug up my comments. So a lot of them, just because you ask them to do something doesn't mean they're going to do it. But when you see something you're excited to share, and I think one of the things where I've grown being here on Dig, in the 2 years, is I've learned, if you like something, it doesn't matter if you agree with the person or not. You dig it. And I can only speak for myself, but I do not believe the entire group did that kind of thing, Jordan. The fact that some might have, maybe, but I just want to be careful that the entire group isn't labeled a certain way, just because you might have 2 or 3 people that have very, very strong feelings, and they do have a right to those. It was a private group, and that's where they let go, and they did let go. Okay.
Well, I think that you're right that not everybody that was in this group engaged in this kind of behavior, but the clear trend was that this was coming from this group. It was planned. It did have a very strong effect on conversations and on activity on the site. And I mean, if you can call it silly, you can say it was just the responsibility of just a few people, but it didn't stop, and there was nothing. There was plenty of discussion, explicit discussion of we need to keep this quiet because we might get banned, and if they did get banned, they just came back and just kept doing the same thing. I mean, if this was just something from a few people that was getting out of hand, I'd understand, but this was something that was under discussion in the group, and I think was being acknowledged by most people in the group, as
I don't think it was
something.
most. I think
Okay,
it was
well,
the
hold on,
few
hold on.
vocal people. Yes.
Okay, hold on 1 second. We actually have some questions in the chat room that we're going to ask Jordan real quick. And Subatomic Doc asked the question: if Digg Patriots began to replace shouts to support articles with digs, then who started giving advice to bury submissions? I'll read it again. If Digg Patriots began to replace shouts to support articles with digs, then who started giving advice to bury submissions?
Is that directed at me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't. Oh, you're asking me where, like, when the Barry stuff started within the Digg
Yeah,
Patriots group.
who started giving the advice to bury the submissions?
I'm not really sure about that. Like I said, I came in late, so I just kind of started reading through the messages. This group
Do
was
you
set up.
recall from the evidence? Do you recall anything from the evidence that you
I don't
did?
have I don't have all their messages myself. This group, it started I'd say early 2009. I think like May of 2009. So any of those trends that got started would have gotten started back at the inception of the group. And so I don't know that myself, but it's clear that by the end that was a very prominent function of the group. What was calling out specific articles to bury, just whole lists of just 20 articles to all just bury at the same time. It was pretty rife on there.
Just
And
in
I have a
general.
very strong suspicion it was done by the mole. So that's my suspicion at this point, but we're still investigating that.
And real quick, because you guys, I know, Jan, that you were saying that you were, going to be taking legal action, or your side is going to be taking legal action. So Atomic Doc also asked, legally, both sides are only providing hearsay. Are Digg Patriots and Novi's team both willing to open the books? So
I think we love to do that. I mean, we're trying to get the evidence out there in an unharmful way. We don't want to be responsible for getting a bunch of people's emails out there where they're going to get harassed or anything like that. We're just interested in releasing the messages that clearly show what was going on, but while cutting out all the stuff that's irrelevant to that. So
okay, but with that said, Jordan, like when the first original article went out, and I know that there's supposedly more to come, wouldn't it have been more responsible to at least have the evidence to back it up? Because now you guys say that you're going through to protect people's identities so they don't get harassed, but they are getting harassed due to the names that were published within that article. So again, I guess the reason why there's such an uproar over this is not necessarily the political view of it all or even about how many berries there were. It's more of what was Novinator thinking publishing this with names that are well known within the Digg community as well elsewhere on social networking. But also, what's the real true value behind publishing something like that, strong accusations, without any evidence?
Well, I agree, and before this happened, I was saying that we shouldn't be focusing on individual users. We should be focusing on the big picture. And if I had been the one running this whole thing, I probably would have done it a little bit differently. But
okay, so since you're from that team, then when you proposed that, what was the reaction? No, we want to go forward, or what was the reaction to why they went forward with it?
Well, it was kind of chaotic. Like I said, we weren't some centralized group. We were just just kind of informally back and forth, sharing what different people had found, and just trying to collaborate, just in an unfocused way, trying to collect and collate all the evidence together, and and towards the end there was a bit of a rush because we were worried about just getting preempted by all the news about the new version of Digg, and it ended up being pushed back. And if we'd known that, I think we would have taken some more time to get things more polished. But
why didn't they wait? I guess that's what I'm still trying to understand. Why was there a rush? Why couldn't they have waited another week and gotten their facts all together? They obviously had someone from the inside who was, taking all this private personal information and sharing it illegally with people that did not have permission to have it. Why did he have to rush? Why couldn't he wait one more week until, to get those names off? I guess to me it seemed like they were intentionally wanting to out every conservative on Digg so that everybody would know, even those that aren't even political there, that they're conservatives, and it just seems to me that was very irresponsible. And
Well, I agree that it probably should have been done differently, and
do you know why he was in a hurry?
well, it's like I said, we were trying to get this out before Dig was basically completely changed, and we were worried about this news kind of being buried by all this all the changes that were coming down the pipe.
So it really did come down to page views, perhaps, because
Yes.
Well,
if,
not
Yes.
page views, but I'd say just getting the word out. I doubt that this would have gotten as much attention as it did.
Yeah.
If the entire site had been caught up in this
I
pretty
hear what you're saying there.
controversial.
Yeah, but
I'd say
why
it-
would you prematurely blow the story without having all the facts straight and the evidence there, just to get your point out and just to get maybe your obviously your week of fame? I mean that's where it just doesn't make
yeah,
sense.
that's the
drag
reaction of the
people's-
audience.
to drag
Exactly.
people's names through the mud like that just to whistle blow. I just personally don't get it.
I don't either, and that's the reaction of the audience that read the article, that have watched Banned on the Web this week, as well as the drill down, and even here tonight. Some of them are, it's just why the rush? Why so disorganized? Why isn't there evidence? And why is it seems like it's not really out of the kindness of your heart, not necessarily yours, but within that group. It seems as though it was about page views. It seems as though it's just about, let's get this out there and see what kind of ruckus we could stir up before the new Dig comes out. And I do want to give you the opportunity to kind of defend that, but at the same time, that's been a lot of people's questions and on a lot of people's minds in regard to this article.
Right. Well, I wouldn't say that we didn't have our facts together. The quotes, in the article are all, untampered with. Everything that's cited in the article is something that that was taken directly from the evidence. The weak parts of it, like I said before, were the roster of names, where not necessarily everybody in that list was equally culpable, and then also just the kind of muckraking tone, I guess, and like I said before, a lot of that came from the fact that this was born out of kind of a feud between the people in the Digg Patriots group and the people that they were targeting, and I think that we could have done more to rein that in and just be more straight, objective, and it's unfortunate that that those kind of emotions kind of colored the story, but the facts of the matter are all right there, and I think that will be borne out when the evidence is released.
Yeah,
Now-
it's one thing with journalists are not to get invested in the story emotionally and not become part of the story, because you lose your credibility as a writer and as a publisher, and I think that's what's happening in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jordan, I just have one, I guess, follow-up question to what I was saying earlier also. The main, I guess, cause for this, we're saying, is because there's been a massive amount of berries, syndicated or coordinated berries, right?
That was one of the primary things.
Okay,
Yeah.
so bear with me for a second. So now I'm just wondering what your thoughts are, I guess, on groups that, instead of going after berries, are going after getting digs on stories. Because basically there's 150 stories, give or take, that go on Digg every single day. So if instead of burying stories, groups are promoting a number of stories, that's effectively, though maybe not quite as bad, the same type of a thing. You're still taking over the medium and censoring out stories by making all these other stories get popular.
I think that's less bad, like in the sense that more speech is always greater than less speech. But it's still harmful. Like some of the groups I mentioned at the beginning, like that British political party, if they had gotten enough people from their their party website to all vote for the same story at the same time, and then got one of their radical propaganda pieces on the front page, I think that would be a bad thing. That this is something that it looks like it's coming up from the community. It looks like something that the community is supporting, but it's really just something that's being foisted basically on these people by an outside group that has an agenda and is only here to push an agenda. So
Okay,
What's your agenda? What's Novinator's agenda?
I wouldn't say he has an agenda. it's more like because a lot of these people they're kind of small time bloggers, and they have sites that they try to get on Digg, and sometimes they do get picked up by a bigger outlet, and that gives them publicity. And a lot of that was why there was all this anger is that they felt like because of the viewpoint of their sites, of their writing, that it was being suppressed by these people, that they had to do something to fight back against it, because it was just, I mean, these were stories that, within, in less than an hour after they were submitted, they would just get shot down right away. And
Are you referring to News Junkie Post?
that, and there are a couple other sites like that, just small time, I mean, there are plenty of people that are trying to, get more, publicity on Digg, and, there are plenty of, like webcomic artists and, people like that they,
Okay.
I'd say a bunch of their of the attention that they get at first comes from Digg. Like I remember there's this webcomic I really like that it got its start on Digg, that it would get front page, people like it. That's where they get their core audience from. And the fact that that was being taken away from them just because this outside group didn't think that their opinion should be heard, I think is what is most offensive about that whole thing.
Okay, I have two questions for you. One is from Subatomic Doc. He says, if this were Apple versus Microsoft groups rather than liberal versus conservative, would the response differ? Should it?
I think the response, do you mean from the Digg community as a whole? I guess, assuming that's what he's saying.
I'm
I think it would
that
be
as well.
less. Just because this Apple versus Microsoft doesn't have very many real world consequences, I guess you could say, because when it's political, you're trying to influence people's votes, you're trying to influence what kinds of stories are picked up in the media, that has a lot more of an impact. And I think that's why there are more passions around it, because people don't want to see, even if it's in a site like Digg, they don't want to see their political system influenced in an unsavory way, I guess you could say.
I have just a question about that, just out of curiosity, because we keep saying that UK example that you were giving, and I'm not real familiar with that, but let's say they did get one to the front page and it was propaganda. I mean, we are exposed to propaganda all the time. Do you think that the Digg community wouldn't be able to, on their own, if they were forced to look at that article, that they would be able to recognize that this is propaganda and then immediately bury it?
Well,
is it really the end of the world if it got to the front page? I guess this is just a curious question.
Well, that is something that did happen a lot. It was wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. That was something that did happen, because one of the patterns you'd see is that you'd see one of these really inflammatory stories appear on the front page, and when it first popped up, there would be a dozen comments all from these Digg Patriots people, and they'd all be dug up the same amount because they all went in there early. And most of the time what would happen is that once it worked its way down towards the bottom of the page, it would get buried if it wasn't like really highly supported by the group.
Right.
And then most of the comments we had buried. But the point is, when it first pops up, you go to the front page, load up the story, it has this really biased viewpoint, and then the first dozen comments you see, they're all supporting that and like cheering it on, and you get a false impression of what of what the community is trying to say, and that would get remedied a lot of the time, after a short amount of time. But
and I guess
still that bad impression was given, or that false impression was given.
And I guess that's what I wanted to mention, because that is really what the whole point is about, and why the conservatives wanted to be here and have a voice here, because Digg is, you're right, it leans to the left. Is that a rule somewhere, or is it just, in other words, if you ended up getting more conservatives here, if you think of the country, I don't know, I'm not going to quote because I was corrected before when I gave an incorrect quote, but I know it's not 70% liberal, the country as a whole. So if, let's say it's made up...
I think that, I think it should just reflect what the community is. if the community is left-leaning, then it should make sense that a lot of the political stories that come out of it should be left-leaning. That's not bias. So, that is a reflection of the community's opinions.
Correct. But, so that's my point is, so let's say then we get just like we tried and we failed because conservatives, for whatever reason, they don't want to come over here and battle with liberals. That's why, you say, oh, we try to get people in but they don't want to be over here.
Well, I
But
think
let's say we did. Let's say we did. Let's say we had, we got 200 or 300 conservatives over here, and then the Digg community is, a little bit more balanced, where it's 50-50 or 60-40. Do you consider that a bad thing?
I really don't consider it a bad thing if these people came over of their own accord. I mean, if you have another website like Free Republic, exhorting, hundreds of their members to all come over and register, that is an outside group trying to sway the site. But if over time, the site got more diverse in its opinions and that bubbled up to the front page, I think that would be legitimate and that would be great. But when you have people, coming over that are, using tactics of, burying and impersonating and, all this kind of illicit stuff, that's not legitimate at all.
Right. Okay. So, but let's say, and I'll pick Cheney. He's somebody that the diggers love to hate. There's one positive story about Cheney, and I don't even think it was necessarily a positive story. I think it was he'd had heart surgery or something. I mean, a lot of times we'll sub articles they're not even controversial. They're just, they have a Republican's name in the title, and because there are a lot of people on Digg that are not political, they may dig it because, they're friends with me or they see it on there and they see, oh, Cheney's in the hospital. And by the way, very ugly comments written about it. And it gets to the front page. Even though that may be a quote unquote conservative article, is it hurting the community to have some conservative articles on there, which then people that don't agree with it, they have the opportunity to see it, to read it, and then they can comment on it and say they hate it or it's, whatever. I guess that's what I really struggle with all of this, that there's all this animosity that, oh, the conservatives are invading or they're doing this or that. And all the conservatives want to do is just have a chance for another point of view to be read. It doesn't mean they have to agree with it. And so that's where if I'm wrong trying to get some of my conservative friends to come over here and join, and I agree with you, they shouldn't just sign up and dig and that's the end of it. They should engage.
Well, I'd love to see that happen, but there were so many times, like I said before, where there would be a submission that I thought was misleading or inaccurate, and I post a comment on there saying, explaining and linking, to sources and very factual, not confrontational at all, and there'd be almost no replies, and it would just be buried. So that just shuts down any kind of discussion that should be taking place. Right,
and I'll just have to admit that there's a lot of stories submitted by the left that I also find misleading and slanted or a little bit of propaganda. So it does, it goes both ways. But I just wanted to make sure that conservatives were welcome here, because if we're not, then, that's another story altogether. So,
okay.
One point I wanted to bring out real quick, just in regards to just a quick correction. Jordan, earlier you'd mentioned that if the let's say if the Digg community was 70% left leaning, for example, the challenge and the problem there is that if the community is 70% left leaning, the way that the system is situated, currently a 70% lean would yield approximately a 90 to 95% lean as far as the front page, because then you have the power. You'd mentioned that story earlier that the Digg Patriots were able to get on there from Raddington Post. That lasted on the front page for, if I recall, I think it was there for what, 12 minutes, something like that, before it was buried off.
Well, so they really pushed the envelope there too. So.
Well, no, and I'm not suggesting that it shouldn't have been buried off, and I'm not suggesting that it should have been. The point I'm trying to make is that having a 70% lean does not equate into 70% left-leaning stories hitting the front page. A 70% lean to the left, technically, I mean, and I'll be happy to do the research, but I would suggest that it actually translates into more of a 90 to 95% lean, because having that much of a control over the front page, leaning in one direction, hating Cheney, Louis Bauer, as he pointed out in the chat room, he's very bad with guns, Cheney. So that's All right. That's
What did Louis say? What did
He
Louis
said
say?
so that Cheney is not very good handling guns.
No, he's not.
Negligent discharging.
Yeah,
So
you don't want to go hunting with
yeah,
Mr. Cheney. No,
Well, I
that was
think
good,
it's
Louis. That was
interesting
good.
that you talk about ratios of
Mhm.
of like how whatever bias there might be in the community bubbles up to the front page because everything on the front page comes from the upcoming section. And what
right.
I noticed is that when this group was at their height before they got exposed, you could go into the political upcoming sections and the majority of stories, at least half would be these hard right wing editorials and coming from this group. And so they may be only a couple dozen people, but they obviously had a really strong effect on what was upcoming in the political section, which influenced what went from the political section to the front page. And I think that also smothers out any chance of any non-power users getting left-leaning political content
Oh,
to
and
the
there's
front
a
page because they would make sure to target it. And then the only things they could get through that gauntlet would be content from users that were really influential on the site and that front page.
oh, absolutely. Wow, there's a nice echo. Um, no, you're absolutely right. It's the challenge that we're having now is that I'm getting echoed and I'm having difficulty talking. Where's it coming from? I'm sorry.
It's coming from you. So
What?
while you fix it, we do have a question from the audience. Bad Cat wanted to know if Jordan, you are upset if that Digg has not done anything about this as of yet.
Well, I think a lot of that is is on us. If we had gotten the text of the messages out right away, I think it would have been easier for them to act on it. Because they can't see the group, they can't see the kinds of things that went on, who was most active, who explicitly talked about breaking the rules of the site. And I think if they had access to that, it would be easier for them to make a decision about what to do about some of these more I guess troublesome users, I guess you could call them.
The other question too is there's been naming names of people within the Digg Patriots, but are we going to hear the names behind the people that are supposedly doing this investigation?
Well, there really aren't that many. I mean, there's me, Novinator. I'm not really familiar with some of the other people.
You said there was about 12 people, right?
Well, Novinator said something different last night on the drill down. He said that there's 3 different groups and it is more than 10 people. So
Well,
there's a
there
lot of
may have
confliction
been.
going on here.
Well, there may have been other groups that were also, suspicious of this kind of thing that may have been working on their own investigation. I'm not aware of them. I've only been involved in this for about a month or two, and
Okay.
didn't have a lot of communication with a lot of the other people. Like I know that there's there's some other group that has been having some kind of issue with one of the Digg Patriots in particular, that they've like putting out YouTube videos, but I'm not familiar with their issue with him, or if it's I just don't know. I mean, I wasn't involved with any of that.
Okay. Do we have any more questions? Because we're running out of time here.
Oh, and I also wanted to know
Oh.
real quick about banning users. Is that several of the Digg Patriots have been banned, so it's not something that was just completely ignored by the staff. That there were some people that that did get booted, but given
Now,
all
do
the
we-
talk about changing IP addresses and having multiple accounts, I wonder how effective that's going to be going forward.
Is do we confirm that they were banned, or because I had heard also that some had just left the site after they had deleted their accounts. There were those who were banned actually by Digg for sure?
I'm assuming so. I mean, I never heard anything about people just quitting. It didn't seem like the the course of action that they'd take, just in my opinion.
Oh, I know. I mean, I know that there were some comments in there that I mean, I think it was either in the original story or one of the follow-up stories that was posted that where, well, I guess those comments would be deleted once they deleted their accounts. But when I was following it, there were accounts.
No,
I've
comments
been
don't get
out and I
deleted.
did.
Comments don't
There
get
was
deleted.
one. I'm sorry.
Comments don't get deleted. It'll just be marked as inactive. It's the user.
Well, no, if you delete your account, if you're banned, then the comment would stay. I thought, but if you delete your account, then all of your activity
Oh,
gets removed as well.
I'm not certain on that. I thought it was the same, but I could be wrong.
Well, maybe, and I'm probably wrong because you're Ergo and I'm not. So, so chances are you're right. But I remember seeing there's somewhere in one of the stories there's like a couple of comments, and two in particular where hey, I was in this, my name is on this list, but blank Digg, I'm out of here. I didn't do anything wrong, but this is BS, blah blah blah. And then a few minutes later their account was gone, and then there was a reply to that one that said I was on this list, and this is and it's great. I love it. I'll come back as somebody else later, see ya, or something like that. And then that account went inactive, and they deleted their account as well. So just wanted to. I mean, is it because the accounts are inactive that we're saying they're banned, or do we have confirmation that some of the accounts have for sure been banned?
I don't think anybody can say for sure other than Digg, but I just noticed that several of the more active people in the group were banned, or at least their accounts weren't active. So.
What do you know about that, Jan?
I haven't heard anything about that, but the group is very upset, as you can imagine, and I think there's not a lot of. I mean, there's some communication, but there's a lot of people that we've not heard from at all. Of course, nobody. Again, I think what people are mostly upset about, including myself, is the fact that our private information is out there amongst people that hate us. And when Novi said last night that it's been turned over to two other groups, which makes me think that it's some other newspaper or news organizations, maybe moveon.org, who knows, with all of our information, our private email addresses, many of us, our real names, I really have a problem with it. And so it's made people, a lot of people are like, it's not going to be fun here, once the new Digg comes. So I really don't know if they've been. I don't think they have. I mean, I hadn't heard that. But it seems like every day another person is gone. And there's just a few of us that have emails of each other's. See, that's one of the things people understand also with the group, because I know I've been questioned a lot. I know one of our other members who was not active at all, except as the title of administrator. And I think there were three of us. We were the original people that put this together, and it was absolutely, we were excited to find other conservatives here. There was and it was 2 years ago. I mean, it was when I first came, there was an actual submission about, I'm a conservative, if you're a conservative, sign here. I don't know, some of you might have seen it, because a lot of liberals went on there and had a lot of fun too. But we would say who we were and where we were from, and that's kind of how we got to know each other initially, and then as trust built, some of us through Shouts shared our emails. And the three of us, I think, before Shouts ended, a lot of people knew us and trusted us. I've become good friends with some of these people. So a lot of people, they were hesitant about being part of a group because they didn't want to give their email out. They're still very private. And, most people don't use their real names or where they're from or anything like I do. So what we set up was that they could pick one of us three if they felt comfortable giving it to one of us three. And that was why the group itself was established, was so that their emails could be private. No one else knew them except the three administrators. And no one else had access to them except us. So that was why that was set up. And so even though the one wasn't very active, and we went back and forth on being active certain times, people would be there for a week and then you didn't see them for a few months, and that's just kind of how it was. People came and went. Some people, when I saw that list that Novi released, half those, probably 15 I've never even heard of. And there were others that are mutuals of mine. I had no idea, like Clickfire. I had no idea. I didn't even know he was a conservative, let alone had ever given out an address there. And GBU David's another one. Never was active in there. I kind of suspected because he's very pro-military, which is why I love him. He's a Vietnam veteran. Thank you, David. And, and he is one of the ones, and that's why I actually have been doing these shows. And the main reason is to some of these people that had no part of it, that have been getting blasted on their threads. They're now getting buried. There was a very coordinated effort to say that there wasn't an organization and that there's not their own brigades. It is very hard to believe when every single article for 2 or 3 days was spammed. I mean, spammed every comment, every article. People that had nothing to do with this, just some people that, liberals who stood up for us and just said, I know these people, if they did this, there might be a reason, or, they just were standing up for us because we were being villainized, and now they're being attacked. And that's the part I really have trouble with. They're saying they've been victims, but now they've kind of fed meat to other people who are angry, and now they're attacking a lot of these other people. We were reporting them all day for 2 or 3 days. They put a list of every single conservative, even not in the group, listed them on several of the threads. I know people in the audience know what I'm talking about. And and they even gave them instructions on how, since they're not going to be banned, this is what you do. So if that's not a Berry Brigade, I don't know what is. And they weren't even targeting people that were guilty of anything at all. And that is why I'm here. I did not want to be here. I don't even want to be in the middle of any of this. But it just, I am not going to allow people that are innocent, that have done nothing wrong at all, to be maligned like that and have, their blogs attacked, and their because basically what they're doing is the same thing they were accusing some from our group of doing. And I have to say, it looked like today, for the most part, that it stopped. So I
died down.
them. But I think that should be called out and stopped completely. That's not how you get even,
Well,
So
I can tell you this much. I personally, I'm on the list. I am personally being attacked, and I'm cool with it. I still dig all your stuff, so it's all good. Because I don't think I actually ever was really attacked. That's the funny part, is that we talk about, and I'm just going to say this real quick. My biggest thing about this, I guess the most laughable aspect to me, was that it has been, the term massive, the term effective has been used. I don't believe that it was effective. It may have been massive in sheer numbers, but as far as in activity, I don't think that it was, at least from what I can tell just by looking at the Digg front page. It does seem to be still a little bit, maybe a lot, left-leaning. So I don't know if a massive censorship were the case. Now newsjunkiepost.com, I know that it was attacked very, very fervently, and this is Novinator's site, and I believe that may have been the origins of this, is because his post started getting buried. Since this story has come out, he's actually had 5 stories from that site buried since the stories come out. So I don't know if it helped his cause breaking up the group or not. It has not hit the front page since then, but hopefully, I'm assuming that I'm going to make the assumption that the follow-up post will probably be on News Junkie Post to see if it can get the page views necessary. We are so far beyond out of time. It's not even funny. I'd like to give you each 1 minute to 30 seconds to a minute to say your last words before we thank you. And who wants to start?
Jan can go first if she wants.
Jan, go first.
Okay, thank you, Jordan. I just, like I've said all along, I really didn't want to be involved in all this, but I felt I did have to speak out about the personal emails, because that I really have a problem with, and I just want, I'm hoping, and I do think that Jordan has passed along in some way. He said it on the thread to me yesterday, and he said it again tonight, that the innocent people, we'd like to see that's cleared up and they're completely exonerated, and that these people, whoever they are, that are going after everybody, that they need to have it brought out to the attention that what they're doing is just as bad, if not worse, than what we were being accused of doing. And it just makes this, it just stirs up the pot more. And it would be nice if we could figure out a way, where people can sub their subs, and like Jordan said, let people decide for themselves if they want to dig it or not. And I just want to say, I don't think you guys need to be so afraid of conservatives. We're not these mean, evil people that people like to portray us as. And I think there is some room on Digg for, maybe 1 out of 100, 1 out of 200 conservative, a conservative article once in a while up there. I don't think it's going to hurt anybody at all. So that's it. Thanks a lot for having me.
No, thank you so much for being on here. Jan, as always, definitely appreciate it. Jordan?
All right. Well, this is something that I just think is important because as the old media gets less and less influential, and you see so many newspapers shutting down, losing revenue. Rightly or wrongly, sites like Digg, become more important when it comes to propagating news and to informing people. And, that's why, I just think that it is so, just wrong that this group, thought, it was within their right to, try to impose, what they thought the news should be on this site. And, there's a lot of questions about, how much of this, actually happened, how much of this is being exaggerated. But, like I said, we're, cleaning up the evidence right now just to make sure that there's no more unnecessary anger directed at people who weren't as responsible. But when the evidence does come out, I think everybody will be able to see for themselves who was, most responsible for this going on, who did the worst, who, flagrantly broke the rules of the site, and knew that they were and admitted that they were. And, so I think, just within the next couple of days, once all this comes out, it'll be, clear exactly what went on.
I have one just real quick question for Jordan. What do you guys plan to do with all those very private emails once you're done with this investigation? Are they going to be shredded or turned over to Digg, or are they going to be left in the hands of people that could use them for maybe not so good means?
Well, I'd say that once the material that actually is relevant to what happened on the site and the breaking of the rules on the site, once that is published, there's not really going to be any reason to keep any of the other stuff. And and again, I just want to clarify that the Digg Patriots group, it was an invitation only forum, basically, that everybody could read what everybody else wrote. And so anything personal that was shared with an audience of dozens of people. And it wasn't necessarily something like a one-to-one email. It was
But we were a family, so it really, we did consider it. I mean, there were things I shared in there that I never share with anybody about my family and about things that, so, I mean, I just, and I know others of us have as well, because we would ask for people to pray for us. We, we shared a lot of personal things. And you say dozens of people, but the reality is we had, at any given time, 8 to 10 people active, if probably at the most at any one time. So we really looked at us as a very small, community. And so I just would like to see those either turned over to Digg or shredded, or it concerns me that those things could be used, be put in the wrong hands and be used in a very negative way. So,
well, we're being very careful about that, and we're not gonna, let anything get out of hand in that way. That's why, that's what I worry about myself, because I don't want there to be any kind of distractions about, people spamming people's emails or just getting out of hand like that, like you see, like when 4chan or something like that finds people's personal information. We're not interested in seeing anything like that happening.
This just in. I just got a note from the FBI. They want a transcript of tonight's show sent directly to them. So I think we should cut off here. Jordan, again, thank you so much. Why not again? I didn't get to thank you yet. Jordan, thank you so much for coming on and telling your side of the story. That took a lot of guts. Jan, again, as always, wow. You are strong, stalwart, and passionate, and I love it. Even if I was on your list.
I didn't bear you that many times. Come on.
I know. You only buried my. I know you only buried my Fora.tv submissions.
Your what?
I know exactly, right?
I don't even know what that is, but okay.
Me neither. I just met it.
Okay.
No, but guys, really seriously, thank you so much. You guys were epic, and this was a wonderful show. Anyone who did not think that this was going to be jam packed, get out the bread, because there's a lot of jam to spread. Wow, that is failed joke attempt. No, I'm in double freaking digits tonight. I just can't entertain at all. You know what it is? It's because I'm in Nashville. It's I'm not gonna say anything bad. I'll probably get killed since I just Foursquared my location. They're coming after me. Room 430. So yeah, definitely. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, audience. What a wonderful crowd. Thank you for coming, and come every week, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, some other time in Nova Scotia.
On Thursdays.
That's on Thursday night. On Thursday, yeah. Okay, go ahead, Jason.
No, you're good.
No, you're fine. Thursday night, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern time, 11 o'clock in Nova Scotia.
You
And
did
that's
it,
the Social
JD.
Blade.
Awesome.
Yes. Episode 53. I even remember to bring my socks. Private joke. Episode number 53 tonight was awesome. And that's Thursday night, socialblade.com/show, 7 p.m. Pacific, blah, blah, blah. I've already mentioned that. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Follow us, friend us, like us, enjoy us, read us, watch us. That's just think Social Blade and put that after a .com/. So go to twitter.com/socialblade, facebook.com/socialblade, and youtube.com/socialblade. If you want to suggest a guest, Jordan, for example, was a suggested guest. Suggest a guest from our blog. Just go there and you'll see a little area where you can hop in there and suggest someone to have on a weekly show. You can also sign up for SMS alerts. Just go to socialblade.com/show. No, you don't have to go there. You just go to j.mp/subus. That is j.mp/subus, S-U-B-U-S.
There actually is, if you just go to our blog also, there's a little SMS thing on the sidebar.
Good.
Oh, that's
I knew it.
right.
I was heading in the right direction. I just forgot where to go once I got there. You can also sign up for alerts for other shows such as Ask Outcast Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can sign up for Band on the Web Tuesday nights at 10 Eastern. And you can sign up for the Drill Down at 9:30 on Wednesday nights. That too is an Eastern time. And is that correct? Yeah, it is correct. Wow, that's awesome. Again, guys, thank you so much. This was a wonderful show. We love you all of our
Thanks,
guests, all of
enjoy.
our co-hosts, all of our audience, all of our sponsors, including lightspeednow.com. Thank you for being a part of us, because we wouldn't be anything if we didn't have you. That being said, we are Social Blade.